In the headlines, 1 killed, 14 villagers abducted as terrorist attack at Katsina villages. Court fixes August 30 for judgment in Motawale's suit against EFCC, ICPC, others. Group drags ECOWAS to court over Niger military action ultimatum. And on the foreign scene, 3 dead, 18 still missing after record Beijing rains. Hello and welcome to Trust News Update. I'm Darshan Hussaina Usman. Now the news in full. No fewer than 14 villagers have been abducted in 3 different villages of Sabwa local government area of Katsina State. The terrorists, in a separate attack, were said to have abducted the victims after invading their villages yesterday at about 1 a.m. The villages include Yakaka in Gazari Ward, Yellagwada in Maibako Ward, and Maiturmi in Rafin Iwa Ward. The terrorists abducted 7 persons at Yakaka village, 6 people at Yellagwada village, and 1 woman at Maiturmi village. The police spokesman, ASP Abubakar Sadiq, also confirmed the incident on Wednesday. He said the police are already on top of the situation with a view to rescue the victims and arrest the terrorists. The Federal High Court in Abuja on Tuesday fixed August 30, 2023 for judgment in a suit filed by the former Zamfara State Governor Bello Matawalle seeking to halt the probe of his tenure by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and other entities. In the suit, with the reference FHC ABJ CS 753-2023, the State Security Service, Nigeria Police Force, the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Nigerian Immigration Services, and the Attorney General of the Federation are the first to 6 defendants, respectively. Matawalle in the suit requests the court to declare, in reference to the judgments issued by Justice Aminu Aliyu on May 31, 2023, into the suit involving the government of Zamfara and the EFCC, that the 4th defendant lacks authority or power to initiate or conduct investigations, inquiries, and/or charges against him, his family, associates, and contractors in relation to any funds belonging to the Zamfara state government. An international civil rights group, Egalitarian Mission for Africa, has dragged the Economic Community of West African States to the bloc's court over the proposed military intervention in Niger. The group prayed the court to invoke ECOWAS protocols to stop the planned military action against Niger. The suit was instituted on its behalf by a Nigerian lawyer, Kayode Ajulo. The plaintiffs argued that ECOWAS treaties prohibit aggression among member states. The group prayed the regional courts to invoke relevant ECOWAS treaties and international laws to stop the military invasion of Niger. The group said any military intervention in Niger would be tantamount to aggression between ECOWAS member states. The group in the suit said the planned military action or invasion would run foul of the obligations in the ECOWAS treaties and therefore amounting to illegality. Apart from EMA, other plaintiffs in the matter are former Director General of the Institute, a Nigerian Institute of the Internal Affairs, Professor Bola Akinterinwa, and Hamza Dantani, a northern Nigerian-based lawyer. Defendants in the matter are the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government of ECOWAS, President of ECOWAS Mission, Federal Republic of Nigeria, and Republic of Niger. He said the military intervention would specifically violate Articles 1, 5, 15, 16, 17, 21, 22, and 24 of the African Charter on Human Rights and People's Rights and others. A constitutional lawyer, earlier we had Samuel Akin, who was a constitutional lawyer, or who is a constitutional lawyer, to give us an update on the development.
I think first, let me say that it's an unfortunate situation we find ourselves in West Africa at this period. Niger, we are not there, but from what we are seeing in the news, it's under attack. And attack also extends to democracy, and that is what initiated the Egalitarian Mission for Africa and other concerned citizens of Nigeria to institute this action before the ECOWAS Court. The ECOWAS Court has jurisdiction to determine matters that borders on enforcement of fundamental rights of member states. And as we all know, Nigeria, Niger, West African countries are members of the ECOWAS. And ECOWAS has a treaty on peacekeeping that has been signed by these countries. We understand the need to restore democracy in Niger, but however, the law has to be followed, not just by instigating external aggression on Niger at the moment. We understand that the military has taken over, but Articles 26, Articles 25, Articles 27 of the ECOWAS Articles on peacekeeping and resolution of conflict has provided for the guide and the steps to follow. So if this commission has failed to follow those guidelines, then we have a locus to go to the court, because as human rights organization, the ECOWAS has that jurisdiction, and we also have the locus to approach the court to see reason why this military aggression and intervention ought to be stopped. There should be peacekeeping first. It is when this peacekeeping has failed that you can proceed. The ECOWAS treaty was signed by host countries. And by signing that, you have given an undertaking that to exercise your sovereignty, you have to follow the due process of the law. The ECOWAS court has that jurisdiction to determine whether their action is right or not.
The Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors has suspended its planned protest scheduled to hold on Wednesday. President of the association, Dr. Ojiemeka Innocent, said the decision was made by the National Executive Council of the association after its virtual meeting late Tuesday night. He said the association would review the decision after 72 hours. NARD is currently on a nationwide indefinite strike and had earlier announced that it would commence daily nationwide protests and picketing of federal health institutions from Wednesday. According to Dr. Orji, the industrial court by the association, however, continues. The industrial action, by the association, however, continues. The NARD president said his colleagues have 8 major demands, including the need for the government to recruit new hands to replace those who have left the system through migration or death. Orji said the government has not shown commitment to meeting the demands of the association. The suspension of the planned protest followed a meeting by NARD executives and that of the Senate, led by Senate President Godswill Akpabio. The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has scaled up efforts towards the elimination of trans fatty acids from food supplies in Nigeria. NAFDAC Director General Mojisola Adeyeye lamented that more than 36 million people die annually from non-communicable diseases, adding that cardiovascular diseases accounts for 17.5 million deaths annually. The report.
There have been several campaigns against the use of unhealthy oils due to their harmful effect on people. Most of these products reportedly contain high levels of cholesterol, which increases the risk of cardiovascular diseases, leading to many deaths. To this end, the National Agency for Food and Drugs Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has expressed optimism that Nigerians will enjoy better food quality and health following the recent gazette of the reviewed Fats, Oil and Food Containing Fats and Oil Regulation 2022 and the Pre-Packaged Food Labeling Regulation 2022. NAFDAC Director General Mojisola Adeyeye will disclose this at a press briefing jointly organized by the agency and the Corporate Accountability and Public Participation Africa, CAPA, noted that deaths attributable to trans fatty acids in Nigerian foods leading to heart disease, stroke, cancer, diabetes, and chronic lung disease, among others, will now reduce drastically.
We have reviewed the fat and oils regulation, and we have a newly gazetted regulation known as Fats, Oils and Food Containing Fat and Oils Regulation 2022.
She also revealed that NAFDAC is already working with partners to find alternative sources to the existing partially hydrogenated oils that are the source of industrially produced trans fatty acids. The Executive Director of Corporate Accountability and Public Participation Africa, CAPA, Akimbode Oluwafemi, said the media must continue to play a key role in educating the public on the content of the regulations.
What NAFDAC is doing is making sure we are safeguarding the health of the nation by now having a labeling that an informed consumer can really understand and check and see.
And from the part of the ministry, definitely there will be an overarching policy that is following, that will come up with it. We are also reviewing the national safety, food safety and policy and quality policy.
When I mean a lot, I will also speak to what concerns your ministry, which is the areas of food policy. You mentioned sugar, you mentioned salt, and every other things that we consume.
If these regulations are well implemented and we stop having the wrong oils for the populace to use, the populace will be protected without them even knowing.
The Fats, Oil and Food Containing Fats and Oil Regulation 2022 includes provisions and the scope of application, source of edible fats and oils, vitamin A fortification, additives and impurities. It also covers the labeling of fats and oils products, labeling limits and claims for trans fats and cholesterol, and penalties, among others.
Workers in Delta State want the state government to consider reduction of working days for employees from 5 days to 3 days a week, among other palliative measures to help cushion the effects of increased fuel prices. They speak to Jonathan Awanyai in Asaba. The report.
The recent hike in the prices of fuel in Nigeria has led to a fresh spike in food prices, dashing hopes of many. Marketer says the cost of transporting the item is one of the high side and have no choice but to transfer the extra cost to the consumers.
Before, motor carry one bag or not here. They carry 5,000, 4,000, but now 8,000, 7,000, so they carry. That is why if you sell onions like 50,000, you no go get, you go lose about your business.
I'm calling the government is to find solution. They know the appropriate solution.
But all the things we buy now, so they spoil. Not customer to buy.
Residents stated that buying food items had become tough as prices continue to soar and household commodities are getting out of reach of the common man.
Now, everything don't high. A gardener where they sell 800 before. Now a painter is 1,500. Now they buy them. And everybody just there in bondage, in short.
Others lamented that the cost of living in Nigeria was high and getting money was difficult.
You're watching Trust News Update. Coming up after the break, we'll take a look at plight of fish market sellers. Do stay with us. Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. You're still watching Trust News Update, a recap of our top stories. We told you that 1 killed, 14 villagers abducted as terrorist attack at Ana villages. We also told you that court fixes August 30 for judgment in Matawale's suit against the EFCC, ICPC, others. Moving to more stories, pensioners in Benue State under the auspices of Nigeria Union of Pensioners have issued the state governor, Reverend Father Hyacinth Aliyah, an 8-day ultimatum to pay their 3 months arrears and also commence the release of 900 million naira monthly for the payment of arrears or risk protests. The pensioners, who took the decision at the end of an emergency meeting held at the Union Secretariat in Makurdi on Tuesday, insisted that government pays all local government pensioners their 3 months pension arrears without delay. The NUP further stressed that failure of the state government to pay the arrears on Wednesday, 16th August 2023, the union will have no choice but to mobilize pensioners in the state to protest on Wednesday next week. In a notification letter signed by the state chairman, Michael Vembe, and Sata Burr, chairman and secretary respectively, the union demanded that government should release 900 million naira every month for the payment of local government pensioners in the state. Crisis is brewing between members of Fish Sellers and Fish Farmers Youth Association, Baga Motor Park Fish Market Branch, and the committee charged with revenue collection at the fish market, with traders appealing to Borno State government to intervene. Members made the appeal alleging that the current leaders of the market have overstayed in the office. Adamu Ngulde has more on the story.
The chairman Fish Sellers and Fish Farmers Youth Association, Abubakar Abacha, said though they appreciate the state governor Umar Zulum for reopening the market, but wants government to address the injustice meted out to them by the committee handling fish business at the Baga Road Fish Market. He also alleged that the committee is collecting revenue without issuing receipts, attributing this to overstay of the leadership of the market. He urges the government to look into the matter with a view to preparing solutions.
The leadership of the market is affecting the market. Some people have taken it personal, which is making the market to fluctuate.
Chairman Sokoto Kebbi Zamfara State residents in Borno, Usman Maude, urged the state government to look into the situation and proper solution in the interest of fish, suggesting that a caretaker committee be set up.
My members constitute 80% of fish sellers in Borno, and I have been complaining on the issue of the revenue and calling on the government to do the needful.
A fish trader, Bintu Bukar, said the revenue charges are draining their earning in the market.
We are calling on the government and the concerned authority to help solve the problem, as it will help in reducing the prices of fishes in the market.
Responding to the allegation, the National President Fisheries Cooperative Federation of Nigeria, Muhammad Laminu, enjoined members to channel their grievances to the appropriate authority, describing their actions as gross misconduct, saying the committee was constituted by the state government to revive business activities in the state and will not in any way support injustice.
All fish that are coming, they will not be allowed to come into the market to upload unless the revenue is paid. Because after the payment of the revenue, we have to transmit the receipt and the evidence of payment to the Attorney General, to the military, and all other people before they allow. So anybody that wanted to know whether it is 3 billion, 10 billion, 1 billion, or whatsoever, the figure was best known to the Ministry of Finance or the Ministry of Animal Fisheries.
Traders pay 1,500 naira per package of fish, and all collectively revenues supposed to go to the government coffers. From Maiduguri, Adamu Ngulde, Trust TV News.
Away from Nigeria, 33 people have been confirmed dead and 18 are still missing after Beijing's heaviest rains on record, officials said Wednesday. China's capital has been hit by record downpours in recent weeks, damaging infrastructure and deluging swaths of the city's suburbs and surrounding areas. Floods in China's southwestern Sichuan province also killed 7 people on Wednesday, state media reported. Authorities in the capital said on Wednesday that 33 people had died in the recent bad weather in Beijing, mainly by flooding and buildings collapsing, almost 3 times the figure given by officials on Tuesday last week. Scores have died in the floods across northern China, with Beijing officials saying on Friday that 147 deaths or disappearances last month were caused by natural disasters. 142 deaths were caused by flooding or geological disasters, China's Ministry of Emergency Management said. In Hebei province, which neighbors Beijing, 15 were reported to have died and 22 missing. And in northeastern Jilin, 14 died and 1 person was reported missing on Sunday. Further north in Heilongjiang State, media reported dozens of rivers had water levels rise above warning markers in recent days. Millions of people have been hit by extreme weather events and prolonged heat waves around the globe in recent weeks, events that scientists say are being exacerbated by climate change. The World Bank has announced it will halt new loans to Uganda over the country's controversial anti-LGBTQ law. The Washington, D.C.-based lenders said on Tuesday it would pause project financing pending a review of measures it introduced to protect sexual and gender minorities from discrimination and exclusion in its projects. World Bank President A.J. Banga, who took office in June, faced pressure to respond to the legislation, with 170 civic groups urging specific, concrete and timely actions, including suspending future lending. Human rights organizations have widely condemned the anti-LGBTQ law, which imposes capital punishment for aggravated homosexuality, an offense that includes transmitting HIV through gay sex, and 20 years in prison for promoting homosexuality. In June, the U.S. imposed travel restrictions on Ugandan officials in response to the legislation, which was signed by the president of Uganda, Yoweri Museveni. Museveni, who has referred to homosexuality as a psychological disorder, has rejected international criticisms of the legislation, which he has defended as necessary to stop the LGBTQ community from trying to recruit people. In its statement on Tuesday, the World Bank said it remained committed to providing assistance to Uganda despite its pause on financing. In sports, Andy Murray is through to the second round of the Canadian Open in Toronto after a straight-set victory over Lorenzo Sonego in blustery Toronto. Murray, 36, beat the Italian 7-6, 7-3, 6-0 in 2 hours and 9 minutes at the ATP Masters 1000 event. The Scot previously won the tournament in 2009, 2010 and 2015. British number 1 Cameron Norrie was beaten 7-5, 6-4 by Australia's Alex de Minaur, while compatriot Dan Evans lost to Canadian wildcard Gabriel Diallo. Speaking after his game, Murray said he managed to sneak through the tie-break, and after that he was obviously a bit disappointed and relaxed a little bit. The 3-time Grand Slam winner had to save 2 set points at 5-4 on his own serve and dropped the first 2 points of the tiebreak before he won a marathon 88-minute first set. The second set was more of a formality as Murray backed up an early break with 2 more and grabbed match point at the first opportunity. And finally, West Ham have reached an agreement in principle with Manchester United for the €30 million transfer of Harry Maguire. The Hammers made the €30 million bid for the England international defender on Monday, and the Red Devils have finally accepted the offer. David Moyes is keen to strengthen his side after the departure of midfielder Declan Rice, who joined Arsenal in a deal worth €105 million. Maguire is also desperate to revive his career after falling out of favour at Old Trafford under manager Erik ten Hag and being stripped of the captain's armband. And with that, we've come to the end of Trust News Update. Don't forget to follow us across all our social media platforms. I'm Darshan Hussaina Usman. Thanks for watching.